Kingdom.
Live.
So on at it. What's hot?
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper and go get it.
It's Mahomes' house. And it is good. Woo! Arrowhead man.
The Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection.
You gotta fight for your right to party.
Woo! Let's go.
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. While you're here, don't forget real quick, click or tap that like, click or tap that subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a Chiefs fan, tell them to tell some more Chiefs fans. Help spread the word. We'd sure appreciate it. We got a good show on tap tonight. I'm a little fired up tonight, as Nick and Bo know about. So we're going to talk about the loss Sunday. The end of the streak against the Denver Broncos. We're going to look ahead to this game against the Miami Dolphins in Frankfurt, Germany, Sunday morning. Got some Chiefs news to hit up too. So before we get into it all, fellas, how are we doing tonight? Nick?
Be doing a lot fucking better if we won the game on Sunday.
Yeah, you tell me.
I wore this shirt to commemorate the fact that we had a 90s Chiefs game on Sunday where our defense played well and our offense did nothing, and then we lost to the Broncos.
Yeah,
and that was like my childhood, and
childhood memory.
It felt just as bad as I remember, but other than that, I'm doing well. We had Halloween yesterday, so happy Halloween to everybody. We took the kids out. It was a blustery 34 degrees or something for us folks here in Kansas City or the KC area. So we went out with coats, which kind of sucks for the costumes, but the kids got a lot of candy. That's what it's about, is getting candy, and everybody had a good time. So what about you, Bo?
Did they rake in the candy? Did they score?
Dude, so much. We have neighbors giving out full-size candy bars. I'm like, I
nice.
always want to say I want to do it
man.
until I get to the store and I look at the price of getting it's like $150 worth of candy, and I'm like, next year I'll probably do it next year. I just go with the cheap stuff.
These parents are crazy.
Yeah, you know what? No one's impressed by the people that get the full-size candy bars anyway. Okay, there's enough people that do it now that you're not baller status if you're handing out the full-size candy bars.
Flexing on.
What's the next step? What's the next baller status?
I mean,
thing?
I would rather
full Dr. Pepper.
Rather, quite honestly, get the little small bite-sized candies. Those are more Halloween feel to me. And dude, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I mean, I don't need to eat a whole Snickers in one setting. You know what I'm saying? I'll have a couple little ones here and there throughout the day, but
I don't know what you're saying. I love those things.
Our man Bo had the killer costume last night. If you haven't seen
right over this shoulder, it's right here.
Go to our X account. Why didn't you wear it for the show, man? I'm disappointed. I thought you were gonna be rocking it tonight.
Because I'm gonna wear it for the game. I'm gonna go to a game in it.
Are you?
see if they let me in.
I don't know. I mean, I'm imagining they're probably gonna let you in, but yeah, no. The old car was saying 27 when me and we were taking the kids out last night. So.
That thing's actually really warm. The fur head mask, right? With my bald head, it kept me warm all night. But let's get back to the show. I'm doing good, man. Just moved into my new place here in Kansas City. Finally today, got my own spot here, so I'm here in my man cave, resisting the urge, living here to when I see somebody wearing Chiefs gear to go Chiefs is like a real thing, right? I see everybody everybody's wearing shit. Yep. Having lived most of my life in the Midwest, it's just saturated with Broncos and Cowboys stuff, right? So when you see a fellow Chiefs fan, you're like, yeah, we gotta support one another. And here it's just I gotta pace myself. 1, 2, 3, go Chiefs! 1, 2,
right.
3. No, it's good, man. Loving living here. I feel like I'm at home. Had some Joe's barbecue and
nice.
didn't leave a scrap on the plate. So looking forward to trying some more of the places around here. And yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's get into the show. Scotty, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just rocking the Sporting KC jersey. Their MLS playoff action going on right now. What's wild is I'm digressing again here, but all of the great sporting teams that were like number one in the conference going into the playoffs that were one and done and lose a game, this team somehow goes winless for the first 3 months of the season, ekes into the playoffs there at the end, and then wins their first 2 games back to back. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Beautiful.
That's so wild. Sometimes the more you think you know about sports, the less you find out you know about sports. So good luck to Sporting. Take down St. Louis, baby, Sunday. Oh, that's gonna be glorious. They get bounced in the next round, and I'd be happy with just making the playoffs after the season that they've had with the injuries and the struggles, to then knock out St. Louis, the in-state rival, and as the 1 seed, nonetheless, to send them packing in the first round would be ultra sweet. So you keep an eye out for that game Sunday after the Chiefs game. Sporting plays St. Louis, but
wonder if Brenda is which team she's supporting. She's a St. Louis area fan, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Probably not a fan of soccer, to tell you the truth.
Not sure if Brenda's a soccer fan or not. I know she's a St. Louis Cardinals fan, but I think she's a Chiefs, Kansas City sports fan. So I'm not going to hold it against her too much about rooting for those Cardinals, those little dirty birds over the other side of the state. But let's get into some of this Chiefs news. I guess really like the kind of the biggest news right now, obviously, would maybe be the injury to Willie Gay, starting linebacker for the Chiefs. Yep. Nick Bolton is down, so Chiefs are starting to take some hits there. Not sure if he's going to end up being able to play or not Sunday in Germany against Miami. But Nick, how do you think that injury affects the team? We maybe taking on a little bit too many injuries in one position group right now.
Yeah, it's tough, right? You first you lose Bolton, now Willie Gay's got the bruised tailbone or whatever, bruised lower back. I mean,
I'm a little butthurt after that loss too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Heyo. So it definitely not what you want to hear. I think Andy Reid, they asked him if he's going to go on IR, and he said, I don't know, which isn't comforting either. So, I just hope that he rests up. I mean, he was playing really well in that game. He had a couple of really nice plays, and, we'll just have to see. I mean, Drew Tranquill, he was out for part of the game, but he's not on the injury report, right?
No, he's not. Yeah, him and McKinnon were the only ones that didn't practice today.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just got to step up, Drew. We need you, man. You're probably going to play more snaps. Just, show out, dude. Show out. We got a task. We got a tough task with the Dolphins offense this week. So.
Yes. Bo, how you think Chiefs injuries with Nick Bolton being out and now Willie Gay looking like he might be down? How do you think that?
Yeah. Week 8 woes, man, right? Like, we're in the thick of it. This is kind of to be expected almost. But no, I mean, it sucks having any guy go down, especially a stud like Willie Gay. He's been super effective at his position, getting to the quarterback, sack, and even dropping back in coverage. But yeah, it's that thing, right? Football's it's a tough sport. You got to play hurt sometimes, and having been a snowboarder for so many years and missed a couple jumps or two, I've had a couple bone bruises. They're not fun, but they're just more uncomfortable than anything, right? Like sitting down is uncomfortable, but definitely playable. I mean, I don't know how bad it is. Sometimes, I mean, you don't really want to walk, let alone move. But, luckily our guys that are stepping up. Like the guys, when somebody like that goes down, the guys next man up mentality is in fruition on our defense. That's for sure. Those guys are doing really well. So, kind of sucks that he's out, but I mean, he's got 3 or 4 days and a nice 14-hour flight to recover. So we'll see.
Yeah. What's up to everybody in the chat? Looks like we got Laney. Looks like we got Big Doug. Brenda's in the house. Our man Nick from Locker Room Rant.
Nico.
Stopping by. What's up, Nico? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Browns are playing fairly well here, so they're kind of like that fringe right around 500, struggling there, and they're in that division. The Bengals are kind of coming to life, so the Steelers are a little bit better than everybody thought. Looks like our man Kevin is in the house. Good to see Kevin. Appreciate it.
That's a good comment.
Yeah, it did look like the 2012 team I don't know. Let's just get into that game, I guess. Look, like
I don't want to talk about it, man.
Before we kind of get into more detail about the plays that cost the Chiefs most or the mistakes or whatever, Bo, how are you feeling just watching that game progress? It started off slow for the Chiefs, and you see them start slow and recover. So, I mean, how quickly or how soon or how late in the game was it before you started getting worried? And just how are you feeling watching that game against the Broncos?
You know, as bad as the players performed, I mean, there were miscues everywhere, drop balls, all that nonsense. I think my biggest frustration of everything was actually the play calling. The coaching and just like they couldn't get the right tempo. They couldn't do anything to help our man Pat out. Seemed like he was scrambling for his life. The O-line looked atrocious, man. It's just one of those things like, yeah, I don't really want to like get too in depth about it because I'm not worried. I'm just more puzzled. I don't know where we are as an offense. Like, right. I still think our defense, even though they gave up a lot of yards and stuff, I mean, they held them to 14 points through the fourth quarter. I mean, you 5 turnovers and you're still only down by 5 like that. Hats off to the defense, man. They played their fucking heart out, and it really showed. Pardon my language for the soft ear listeners there, but yeah, man, I like I said, I just don't know where we're at. One day we're scoring 41 against the Bears, and you know it's the Bears, but like this is the Broncos, and we lose to the Broncos. It's almost by design every year the Chiefs have a game like this. Almost everybody knows about the Colts game last year. We shouldn't have lost that game. We did. This is a little different though. We got blown out, and it just feels like it hurts, man. Like that joke on Family Guy. We were talking about this before the show, or the robber goes up stabbing people, and he's like, he stabs himself. He's like, oh, is this what I'm doing to people? This really hurts.
Yeah.
Is this what we're doing to other teams, man? This sucks.
Yeah.
I get what everybody's complaining about here. So not too worried, man. I'm just more concerned about the jet lag situation going into this next game. I guess the players are leaving tomorrow for some reason instead of earlier in the week to kind of stave off any of those worries. But I don't know. I guess it's just one of those wait and see things.
Yeah, I've got some glitching. I don't know if my internet's screwing up or if it's you guys's or what, but
Bo's coming through clear on my end. So
okay, maybe it's mine.
Yeah,
maybe on my end. So if I'm a little behind you guys, if I missed something you say, maybe it'll clear up here. Not quite sure what's going on, but Nick, just overall thoughts and feelings watching the game against the Broncos.
Yeah, just kept feeling like the Chiefs are going to snap out of it, and they're going to put a drive together, and they're going to figure out a way to win the game. And then it just never really materialized, right? I mean, they kept turning the ball over, turnovers, just atrocious there. Not good protection for Pat. I mean, some of those plays, though, you know, he held on to the ball for a really long time. So I don't know if it was necessarily all the O-line. Some of it's holding on to the ball too long. Some of it may be on the receivers. I mean, Travis Kelce on his podcast is talking about he's basically saying we all raise our hand, right? You know, like catch passes, didn't block enough, you know, didn't get open, right? I mean, so I think that it's just one of those games. I mean, we've seen this with Andy Reid before. We just haven't seen it be quite like this against this level of team, I don't think, with Mahomes, right? Which is where everybody's like, dude, I mean, what the hell? You know, he had the flu. He was obviously, you know, not his normal self. That said, should have still been able to beat the Broncos, right? You know, it had a huge drop in the end zone. Sky Moore, I know Andy Reid is being kind and saying his arm was being held down. Scott and I are going to get into it. Got to make that catch in that situation. Andy Reid, I mean, he was going for it on fourth down. Really head scratcher, 4th and 22 from inside your own 20 type call. I don't know that I necessarily agreed with that with the amount of time that was left, the way that our defense was playing. But I just had this feeling that we're going to be all right. You know, Bo came over around halftime, and we're just sitting there and we're just kind of watching the atrocities happen on the screen and just going, what's going on? But you know, you have hope right up there until there's like obviously no hope, right? They score the last points. It's it's out of reach, and you're just like kind of left with like a, well that sucked.
Bewilderment. Yeah.
Game, just an awful game. But kudos to the Broncos. I mean, I think that game was they finally stood up and they're like, dude, you're not going to beat us in our house again. We've been losing to you guys. We've got the soundbite, right? I'm sick of losing to the Chiefs soundbite. Like, I think that's where they were at, and they finally put together a game, and they were able to close it out. I mean, they've been really close on some of these games over the last, few. It was it wasn't a super close game point wise for a lot of it, but the last time this year. But I mean, it wasn't like a walk in the park for the offense, and so kudos to Denver. They finally broke that streak. It's over. Time for us to start a new streak and see if we can beat 16. So,
Scott, your overall impressions of the game, man. How are you feeling? I can anticipate what you're going to say, but I always like to hear it. So, what do you got, my man?
Just annoyed with the team and the performance, and I just don't know what it is about when people say, "Oh, they have this game every year," and they do. This game was different than games in years past. I mean, other games we had the lead and kept letting other teams hang around, lost it at the end. I mean, the Chiefs never had the lead in this game, and just continue to make mistakes, just over and over and over. And we put a tweet out at halftime. The Chiefs had 3 turnovers and were down by 5 points going into halftime. And so you're just frustrating and annoyed. And I'm sure if you ask the players on the team, that's probably how they would describe their feelings about playing in that game afterwards. Just the team is better than that. And we keep seeing these same things kind of rear their ugly head, but Patrick makes the miracle play or Travis somehow catches fire. You know what I mean? And that just never happened. And I just feel like that it was one of these games where the defense, God, what a great defensive effort to waste. I mean, you look at they gave up the season high 24 points, but the 3 touchdown drives that the Broncos had started at their own 50-yard line or better.
Right. Oh, yeah.
5 turnovers. The defense, they gave up under 250 yards. Russell Wilson only had 114 yards passing in the game. The defense played awesome. And I know people were getting critical of the defense. The run defense was getting a little exposed, which going back to the last Denver game, I found it a little curious that they were running the ball pretty effectively and then kind of stopped doing it and started throwing the ball.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Letting Russ cook or whatever, which has not been a good recipe for success here the last couple of years with him. Yeah. So just annoyed and frustrated with the game. Not even angry or worried necessarily about what this means down the road, although there are just a couple things that are become more than just like an odd thing. They're becoming a trend. And we'll get into that more here. So,
sure. Yeah.
Where does the majority of the blame lie for you in the loss? A certain player, certain position group, coaching, play calling? What do you think was the biggest problem on Sunday?
Yeah, well, like I kind of said it earlier, I was thinking the coaching has a lot to do with the poor performance. They were just doing, I'm so done with the trick plays that, you know what I mean? That just everybody's sniffing it out now. Like they're expecting it. Like those only work every now and then I don't know. They just kind of run the same little flea flicker shovel pass that I feel like that defenses are just eating up now. But I mean, the bigger elephant in the room would be the receiving core, right? I mean, how many drop balls can Patrick endure? And I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I feel like the bar for Patrick Mahomes was raised a little too high for this game. Cause like they're like, oh, it's a snow game. He does so good. And it wasn't really a snow game. It was just cold at altitude with wind, you know what I mean? Just bitter. Like who wants to be outside doing stuff in that? 2, he has the flu. And I'm sure you guys saw online, everybody online's like, oh, it's Jordan time. Jordan had the flu and he just performed better than ever. Right. So I feel like that bar just got raised immediately to there. And you're like, no, man, he's human. He had the flu and he's at altitude, just flew on a plane, like probably feeling miserable. And so, I mean, I wouldn't even blame Patrick. I mean, he had some terrible throws, but the O-line, that game reminded me of the Super Bowl against the Bucs, dude. It looked like Patrick was just scrambling for his life most plays out of sorts. And then this is where I started blaming the coaches. They couldn't draw up a play to just get the ball out of his hand quickly, like a quick slant. You know what I mean? Like a quick little post or something. Like boom, like
get some kind of sync on offense.
Yeah, man. Like get the defense to back up a little bit. Like I don't know. It was just that was the more frustrating part. And I guess that's who I would blame if I was going to blame anybody. Would be the receiving core and the coaches. But man, the O-line didn't help out either. And there's some other plays. I mean, special teams other than field goal kicking didn't look great either. So I don't know. Nick, I'm just frustrated now. I just, like I said, don't want to talk about this.
No, thanks. Now I'm pissed off. Who do I blame? Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a whole team of people that underperforms, it's partly on the coaching. I think as a team, they quit taking the Broncos seriously, and I don't think they thought they could lose the game. To be honest, I think they're like, we're going to go beat the Broncos. You know, I don't want to say too much negative stuff about Travis Kelce, but being at the World Series game on Friday, like when you have a road game on Sunday, and then you lose, not a great look. He was accountable in his podcast, that came out today. So, I mean, I'm not going to pin this on Travis Kelce. But, if you had to look at a specific group, like, the wide receivers, they underperformed, right? We've got guys like we were talking about the depth chart and like, oh, are we going to keep 7? Because we got so many guys at wide receiver.
Right.
We don't have a single guy that's had a 100-yard game that's a wide receiver on this team this year. So I mean, Sky Moore's getting 30 plus snaps a game, and I mean he's on target to have less receiving yards than he had last year as a rookie that's new to the system. So I don't know if it's a sync issue. If I haven't looked at any all 22 tape, but if I had to say who's like not doing things right, is it Patrick Mahomes, the 2-time Super Bowl MVP and 2-time league MVP that threw for 5,000 yards last year, or the receivers? I'm probably going to go with the receivers not running the right routes, not being in the right place, not getting open when they're supposed to. I'm really over screenshot Twitter where, people will say, well, look, this guy's open, and they'll take a screenshot and say, well, okay, but the open progression, right? And I know there's other Chiefs podcasts that talk about this, and they're like, well, the guys are getting open, but are they getting open when they're supposed to? A lot of those things, like you can't tell that there's a defender that would close, right? I mean, the guys are fast in the NFL. On the 4th and 2, they're like, well, they could throw it to McKinnon there. And I'm like, no, if he starts to throw to McKinnon, that linebacker is going to be on him, and he's going to be catching it 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's not going to get there. Like we saw it happen. We saw that exact thing happen. And not to mention the fact that like Sky Moore was open. It was a touchdown. Dude, if you can pick a 3-yard pickup or a touchdown, like that should be a high percentage catch, right? I mean, over the shoulder, beautifully thrown ball, separation. So yeah, I mean, it's got to be on the receiving group, the receiving core. I just don't think that they were up to snuff, and they were letting Patrick get beat around. And like it pisses me off because like Patrick Mahomes, like every freaking week puts the team on his shoulders, and he figures out a way. 3rd and 22 against the Jets, right? Like he finds a way to make it happen. He finds the open guy, even if it means he's got to turn his body, contort, throw the ball across the field backwards, against the way that he's running. Like he always figures it out. And then he's sick and he's playing in the cold. And even at the end of the game, like, you had somebody like step on his hand. They put a glove on his hand and he's bleeding through a glove. And like these freaking jokers cannot like get open and catch the damn ball for him. Like after everything that dude sacrifices. So look, I'm not saying he played a perfect game. He didn't play a perfect game, but what he needed everybody else around him to step up and make it easier for him. And I just don't think that happened. So, so that's really where I'm going,
Yeah, I saw going on social media and in the regular TV media this week. I'll tell you whose fault it isn't. It isn't Patrick Mahomes. We went through this same thing a couple of years ago when guys were dropping passes and tipping balls up in the air for pick sixes. Yeah. And the Chiefs started 3-4 that year, and everybody's like, "Oh, is Patrick plateaued?
Chiefs
are we
broken.
seeing the best of Patrick Mahomes? Has the league figured out Patrick Mahomes?" Let me tell you something. If this team doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, they're fucking 2-6, not 6-2. Okay, that dude goes out and heroes up, and I call him. This is blasphemous for some people, so I apologize, but the dude is literally football Jesus, making miracles out there week after week after week to win games that the Chiefs probably don't deserve to win. I don't know if that's the right way to put it or not.
Good way to put it, yeah.
But wouldn't win with an average or even a slightly above league average quarterback playing. So, no, there's nothing wrong with Patrick Mahomes. This loss, both losses, are squarely on the shoulders of the wide receiving core of this football team. They are terrible. Sky Moore, you look at their numbers, MVS, going into the season, the starting wide receivers were MVS, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore. Newsflash, those guys haven't done shit this season. I mean, MVS has like 12 catches for 200-something yards. Kadarius Toney's got 13 or 14 catches for 100 yards. Sky Moore has got even less than that. I saw people making the joke online. Oh, Sky less, not Sky more. How about Sky none? The dude has done nothing on this team this year. I didn't like the draft pick.
I like Scott at a 13. I don't know. It's entertaining.
The guy is undersized. He's not fast. He played at a small school. Who could have seen that being a bad second-round pick? I mean, it's just these guys are not getting it done, and they just continue to roll them out there. And I saw it going around, and I had this same thought, but I didn't say it first, so I can't take credit for it. But to me, Sky Moore is turning into the CEH of wide receivers.
Ooh, that's burn.
Dude, the guy's a second-round pick. Clyde, was a first-round pick, but he was the last pick of the first round. So he only went a half a round earlier than Sky. The guy is still out there. He's not producing. And if Sky Moore were a fifth-round draft pick, he'd be riding the pine right now. And maybe I should have said if you're a family member or a friend of Sky Moore or MVS or Kadarius Toney before this segment, maybe I should have told you to turn the show off or go do something else for the next 3 or 4 minutes. But Kadarius Toney, I don't know if it's injury or not, but that guy, I mean, you could almost say he cost us the first game with his drop and his pick six. Sky Moore had a crucial drop in that game that would have moved the chains at the end. We lose by 1 point. MVS in this game, I mean, he is basically what he's been his entire career. A guy that is good for a big play or a big game about every 8 or 9 weeks. And other than that, he's just not that good. He doesn't get open. He doesn't have great hands. He had a fumble that would absolutely killed us when we were starting to move the ball earlier in that game that really – what little momentum Denver didn't have, they got in their favor and had all the momentum at that point with his fumble. Going into the season with these three guys, and Nick, Bo, you can vouch for me because I know when we started the show this year, we were hopeful, and I didn't want to be Debbie Downer, and it's not good for views, and it's not good for the show to sit there and just dump on everybody's favorite players. But going into this season, banking on those three guys to be your 1, 2, and 3 wide receivers is obviously a major miscalculation by the front office. There's no other way to put it. Those guys are not producing. Hell, Rashee Rice is a rookie getting a half or a third of the snaps as those dudes, and he's out producing them.
Right.
Justin Ross has got his legal situation going on, which we don't really want to talk about here, because we don't know the facts of what happened. There's always the innocent until proven guilty aspect of it. He's on the commissioner's list now. But that guy couldn't get snaps over these guys for some reason. Rashee Rice couldn't get snaps over these guys, even though he's clearly more talented. But,
what's up, Chris?
He's got his drop issues. He had a huge drop wide open in the middle of the field that killed another drive. These dudes these guys got to step it up.
Well, I text you guys on – oh, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to step
go ahead. No, yep.
I text you guys on Tuesday, right? Like, obviously, we were traded for McCole Hardman. I was like, hey, deadline's up. You guys think we make any trades? And you guys are both like, no. You guys think the Chiefs missed out on a weapon? I mean, like, we're sitting here talking about how dreadful our receiving core is. And there were some guys out there, but no like potential game changers in my mind. But do you think the Chiefs dropped the ball on that?
it's hard to say what players were and weren't available because you see reports, right? Terry McLaurin was available or this guy was available. I mean, the Chiefs traded away draft picks to get Kadarius Toney last year. They're not flush with picks. They've got cap issues. So, you're going to go out and get a Devontae Adams or a Terry McLaurin or a top guy when you had Tyreek Hill and you weren't willing to pay him to keep him around. I mean, so you're going to trade for one of these guys. You weren't willing to pay Tyreek, but you're willing to pay Terry McLaurin or Devontae Adams. I just didn't see it happening. I don't think they dropped the ball necessarily by not making a trade. They dropped the ball in the offseason by not getting a more established wide receiver for this team. That's where the ball was dropped within the offseason. Letting Juju go. Juju wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was a 1,000-yard receiver that you could count on to catch the damn ball on third down.
Yeah,
last year.
way more reliable than this core.
So they bungled the wide receiving core and position in this team going into the season, and it's hurt them. This team should be 8-0 right now.
Yeah, you can see as a Chiefs fan,
You
you
would
can
argue
easily
that
see
point
that
with me?
possibility,
I mean,
right? Nick, do you think the Chiefs dropped the ball not getting a receiver or trading for one for somebody?
I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? I think that really kind of where they've dropped the ball is maybe not shuffling guys around when they're not performing and continuing to give people snaps that don't produce. I think that that's it. I think that, they have why is Justin Watson not getting the most snaps at wide receiver on the team?
Exactly. He's the most consistent.
Or a big free agent guy making $10 million a year like MVS.
I know, but like Butterfingers. He's the only person from the wide receiving core that made big plays in that game.
Yeah. He's out. He's more clutch than any of those three guys.
And he's got a hurt elbow. So maybe that's why he didn't get more snaps, but he makes big catch after big catch, it seems, and he's not out there. So I think that, there's like an established pecking order. You don't want people to just always feel like their job is unstable if they have a bad game, but we're not talking about a bad game now. We're talking about half a season of really underperformance from our starting wide receiving core. So I think that's
about 2 years for MVS and Sky Moore.
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah,
I don't know that we necessarily maybe instead of getting Jawan Taylor, we could have got a big name wide receiver. But Scott, you hit the nail on the head. If they're going to do that, then they're already years too late on keeping Tyreek Hill.
Right.
So
you're paying Jawan Taylor $20 million a year, and you're paying MVS $10 million a year. That's $30 million. That's $31 million a year right there. You could have given fucking Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And I get it. We won the Super Bowl without the guy last year, and it worked out okay. But it's just what makes it even more frustrating is going into this season with a lack of weapons at the wide receiver position, and now Patrick Mahomes has a top defense. What?
Take 2 steps forward and take 1 step back.
I'm done ranting now. I got it off my chest. Just those guys are just not good enough. And on top of that, the play calling to me is curious. But again, you see a lot of these throws behind the line of scrimmage, or these quick throws out to the flat, or backwards or even passes on third down. That's the only way they can get the ball to Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. It seems like because those guys can't.
The only way they're willing to, right?
I mean, they got to snap the ball and turn and throw the ball to a guy right away just to get him a fucking completion at this point. So, play calling to me has been curious this year, was curious now. When you've got star players like Tyreek Hill and you've got these other stud running backs or whatever, it makes your play calling look a lot better, right? I know there's been a lot of people saying Pacheco only got 8 carries, and the only other game this year where he had less than 12 carries was week 1, and they lost that game. Pacheco is averaging, 3 yards a carry in the game against Denver. It wasn't like he was part of and tearing them up. So
he averaged 5, but then he broke off one for 19 or 20, which
so he was the rest of his runs were shorter, right? Yeah.
And I get that it takes running backs to get into a groove or whatnot, but I like Isaiah Pacheco. Don't get me wrong here, but he's not Saquon Barkley or Alvin Kamara or Did you watch Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball for the Lions on Monday night against the Raiders?
Yeah.
Got him on my fantasy team. I watched him.
Dude, I like Isaiah Pacheco, but this idea that he's like an elite top 3 or 5 running back that you have to get 20 touches a game to, that's not accurate either. This is a passing offense, and it's predicated around Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball down the field. And I thought the line protected pretty good. I know he took sacks and was getting hit, but hell, those are on plays where he's sitting in the pocket for 3, 4, 5 seconds. I mean, I thought the protection in the line was pretty good. It's just guys aren't open. And I don't care what, Nick, you were talking about a screenshot of an all-22 shows as a guy being open. You really think Patrick Mahomes is just missing wide open receivers downfield? Because I don't.
I don't know if that was a rhetorical question. I don't think that he is in his progression and he's seeing an open guy and he's passing him up. Maybe
Tony was open. I didn't see him. He was my second guy.
The only caveat I'll say is look at what happened with MVS, right? Where MVS is on the comeback route and he doesn't come back enough, and he gets the pass broken up. So maybe he's seeing guys that have a little bit of separation, but he just doesn't trust that they're going to make the catch. I could see maybe that, maybe he needs a greater buffer, right? With his receivers, and they can sit there in the press conferences and say, "I'm going to keep firing it at these guys. I still have trust in them." But I mean, do you think he still trusts Sky Moore after dropping a dime and having him drop it on 4th down?
Well, you guys heard Andy Reid in his press conference, right? He's like, I saw things out there I've never seen from these guys before, right? Like, and referencing the receiving core missing routes, like running the wrong routes completely. So, like, how could you have trust in that receiving core? If you're Patrick Mahomes, you're seeing the same thing. You're like,
they're open,
what
but
are these guys doing? They're going the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, they're open, but, they ran the wrong route. So when I looked, he wasn't even there because I'm not looking there. So, yeah, I don't. That's the problem with screenshot Twitter, right? It just you're like it's just a really bad way to analyze the game. You don't know what the play call is, like you don't know what the progression is, you don't know who the play is designed to go to. But anyway, we've been harping on that. Laney asked, big question: will we snap back this Sunday?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll get to the Dolphins game here in a minute. I kind of want to talk about the good. I mean, the defense played good again.
Yeah, they crushed it.
The defense is for real. And I mean, Drew Tranquill, he's out there making plays. The corners was out there in the secondary. I held Russell Wilson to 114 yards passing in the modern NFL. That's a hell of a defensive performance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many times they sacked Russell Wilson? 5 times? 6 times? I think.
Yeah. But they did allow some really long drives, which limited offensive possessions, right?
Yeah, but their longest drive turned into 0 points. So, I mean.
Yeah, but it also limits possessions when guys fucking drop the ball on 3rd down.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm just
saying. What I'm saying? Like, it's just like
half of the 3rd quarter was one drive for the Broncos.
Defense. Oh, they gave up a long drive. Well, okay, it's the NFL. They gave up one long drive. I mean, Jesus, dude, for the last 4 years, how many we would have been begging, and I would have given my left arm for a defense that only allows one long drive a game.
And results in 0 points, right?
They held them under 250 total yards. With the offense giving them the ball 5 times. Think about that for a minute. Charles Omenihu, this defensive line. Karlaftis had 2.5 sacks.
Furious George crushed it, man. He was everywhere.
Oh, that dude is on fire this year.
Yeah, he's looking
just
good.
Reed blocking a kick.
Is he the first player in history to kick a field goal and block a field goal?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's
what a cool little stat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But going back to like the Broncos having it easy a little bit as far as like starting position, I think I read that their average starting position was the Chiefs' 30-yard line.
In their scoring drives.
In their scoring drives, right.
Yeah.
Pretty easy game when they got 30 yards to go, and you can kick a field goal at any point in Denver.
That's going to skew that number quite a bit,
I mean, that helps them, yeah, for sure.
What are you doing receiving a ball at the 5? And, kudos to Hardman. Full accountability for the entire loss there. I mean, it obviously was more than just him, but that definitely was that was like the death knell. That was a nail in the coffin. But
yeah, the game was pretty much over at that point, though.
Right.
I mean, the way the offense was playing and the way that they were just dropping passes and fumbling the ball away. Patrick Mahomes had one bad turnover, the one bad interception. The other one, the sack strip or whatever you want to call it there, got a guy coming from behind you. You're getting ready to pass the ball. He knocks it out. That's kind of hard to blame on him, really. And the other interception was basically because MVS got tackled on 4th down. And it was, a Hail Mary, although it wasn't the end of the game, right? But it was basically a Hail Mary there at that point, which really shoots that whole narrative that the referees are rigging the game in the Chiefs' favor. I mean, Sky Moore's arms being held on the drop. Still should have caught it. I'm not making excuses for him. But, I mean, that's easily a penalty of pass interference that could have been called. They could have called pass interference on the second interception by Patrick. JT Campbell.
You son of a bitch.
Rubbing salt in the wound here. I've been going out of my way to be nice about your Panthers all
Kick 'em out, Nick.
season. And
Kick 'em out.
He's going to show up in here and just start talking some trash, huh? That's all good. That's all good, JT. We love it, man. Good to see you, bro. Appreciate you swinging by. His Panthers got their first win of the year, I saw. So, hey, man.
Oh, and you picked them too. I saw that on our picks. I saw that you picked the Panthers.
Yep.
Like Scotty's going for the underdog bet here and got it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember who they beat, but that's not much of an underdog pick. Those are both underdogs, in my opinion. But, yeah, so the defense is looking good. The defensive line, Charles Omenihu, looks like he's freeing up some things maybe for Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. The offense they got to figure something out. Wide receiver, there's got to be other guys. Richie James is coming back. I see off of IR. Throw him out there, man. He can't be worse than Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney and MVS at this point, can he?
Right.
I mean, he might be as bad, but to be worse, he'd be out there getting 0 catches for 0 yards. And then at least you wouldn't be fumbling the ball. I don't know, man. But let's go on back to Laney's question here. Let's just move on. Let's just forget about that game, burn the tape, as they always say. And
I think we just got to change our mindset about it, right? Instead of looking at it as like, oh, the 16-game winning streak was snapped. Look at it as, no, the Chiefs just set a 16-game winning streak against the Broncos, a divisional rival. Like, let's see another team beat their division rival 16 times in a row. Dude, they beat them so bad it stopped being a rivalry. Like, that's how bad they beat them. They used to be one of the better rivalries in sports, man. Like,
yeah, I know. Well, I now have daughters that know what it's like to live in a world where we've lost to the Broncos.
Right. And I'm not going to give my kudos to the Broncos, okay? They did not play great either. They got 5 turnovers, a bunch of short fields, and they still only got 250 yards and basically scored 3 touchdowns on gimmies from inside their own 30 average starting position. That team sucks, okay? They're not good. They're going to maybe win 4 or 5 games this year. And that's it's just another instance where the Chiefs beat themselves more than the opponent beat them. Hell, if they only have 3 turnovers, they probably still win the damn game, right?
I know.
Yeah, this dude.
Yeah,
some of those turnovers, some of those were forced turnovers.
Right.
So, meh. It's the natural course of the game, Nick. No kudos. No kudos.
No kudos to the Broncos. Okay. Do the Chiefs bounce
Das
back?
Gutten.
They play the Miami Dolphins in Frankfurt, Germany.
Ich habe 5 gestellt.
2 teams.
5 on it.
2 of the best teams, right? They got the 2. They're tied for the best record in the AFC because I think Jacksonville is only 5-2 at this point. Because I think they've had their bye week already. Is that right?
I think they're 6-2.
Right.
I think it's us, the Dolphins, and the Jags are all 6-2.
Right. So let's just talk about this Dolphins game. Before we get into the actual game, Bo, you talked about the travel. Andy Reid said that they've traveled later in the week for these long international travel games in the past. That's why they're doing it now. The Dolphins went earlier to help get themselves acclimated to the jet lag, the time zone change, get familiar with their surroundings. Teams that have traveled earlier so far, I want to say this year, have done better in the London games. Nick, you think the Dolphins or the Chiefs are going about it the right way, leaving earlier or later in the week?
I don't know. This is longer. The only real massive time zone changes I've done were like total flip flop, like 12 hours, which it takes you a few days. So I think that it's either you get there, and just power through, right, or you take a few days. So it seems like the Chiefs are hitting that in the wrong spot, but. I mean, you can do certain things. You can adjust your clocks. I mean, it's not too awful, right? I mean, what is it? 6 hours. So to Germany, because I think that they're already on daylight savings time. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be like the difference in who wins or loses the game. But it is an interesting thought, right? I mean, it's like that's part of the strategy now that you have to deal with these games. Personally, I would rather be a place that I know and I'm comfortable more, So I mean, you're not having to deal with like hotels and people like you don't speak the language and having to figure out commutes and getting around. I'm sure the team has all that set up, but I mean, you're in a practice facility you're not familiar with, right? Like, I just think that maybe some of that has a negative impact as well. I mean, the only game that I remember them saying that it really seemed like there's a major difference was the Bills and the Jags, but the Jags had been there all week, right? Didn't the Jags like stay there the whole week? So I don't know that that's like a fair comparison.
Yeah,
it
the
is
Jags played back-to-back games.
Go ahead. What?
Yeah, no, the Jags played back-to-back weeks there. So.
Yeah, so it is an interesting insight into if they were to have a team that was international, right? The home field advantage that they would have at their home games, but they would have that same disadvantage when they would travel. Could you imagine having to travel all the way to from Germany to like Pacific time?
Go play the 49ers.
That would be nuts. So I don't know. I think it's kind of overblown. I think that the guys are smart enough to know what to do. And I mean, we killed when we went and played the Lions, right? And so that was Andy Reid. So I feel like we're going to be fine from that standpoint.
Yeah, our man JT. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah. Oh no. You're saying something about JT?
Oh, he was just asking where we'd rather play. But I mean, what are your thoughts about the travel, Bo? Just would you rather? Do you think it'd be better to go earlier or late?
I think Nick hit it right on the head. It's a little overblown. I think these guys know how to prepare for that. And when us normies talk about traveling overseas, right, we're talking about like having to adjust to it, getting up, going on tours, and oh man, our body can't get used to this. Like we're not professional athletes
like all these
in shape, and like
right. You're not.
Yeah, these guys are flying private. They're not flying coach. They're not gonna. Yeah, I mean they have room to sleep on those planes and whatnot. Like it's not the greatest. It's not like a private jet, but
I'm sure that
I
they
think
have
they'll
like
be okay.
seats that lay all the way down, right?
Yeah, I think the game's fairly late, so I mean they have plenty of time. I think they'll be able to rest and get up and get acclimated just fine to the time change. I think it is a little bit blown out of proportion. However, having traveled over there, like it is a lot easier to get up and get things going after you're like 4 days, 5 days into a tour overseas, right? You're like, oh, I'm here. So I don't know. I think they'll be fine though.
Yeah, I would have rather them left earlier. Maybe there was some talk too. They were leaving later because some of the team has got this flu that Patrick had and is going around, and so they're wanting the guys to get over that and rest maybe a little bit more. So, is it like going to be if the Chiefs don't win, it's going to that's the reason they lost? No, I don't think it's going to be the reason they lost. But I'm team getting there earlier and getting adjusted and getting acclimated.
Sure.
Look, these people talk about sleeping in your own bed and it's your own house. I mean, it ain't like they're staying at the Motel 6. When they get there, I mean, the mattresses and the amenities they have in their hotel room are probably just as good or close to their house as it is. I mean, they're staying in a 5-star hotel somewhere. So I don't know how much that has to do with it. I'll
Scott,
get to
would you rather play
JT.
in London or in Frankfurt? That's what JT was asking there.
Yeah, good question, JT. I just think I would rather play in Germany. Personally, I just think it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
They play a lot of games in London, and Germany is just they don't play as many games there, so it's a little bit more novel or a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, special is the right
first
word.
game ever in Frankfurt, right?
Yeah, so I would rather play the Germany game than the London game. Nick?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we part of it is, I mean, we have German heritage, so
No way. I couldn't tell.
If it was
looking
me
at you.
playing or going, I would rather go to Frankfurt. So, what would you say, Bo?
I said, there's no way. I couldn't tell by looking at you that you got some German heritage in you.
Oh yeah, I don't look it at all, huh? So I think Germany would be a cool place to go. I mean, we were looking at packages, but the ticket prices were a little too steep for the old Nick clan for me and the wife to go. So maybe next time.
Especially since you're going to go to the Super Bowl this year and watch Patrick Mahomes win another one, right?
Super Bowl. I mean, I got lots of stuff going on.
I'd rather do Germany for sure, man. It's going to be at Bayern Munich Stadium, so I mean, like, even if just like regular supporters go, it's going to be a sea of red, and just because it's going to be all Chiefs supporters there, so like I could see this being a true away home game. So
yeah, it's going to be a home game for the Chiefs because they've had like exclusive TV and radio rights and marketing rights and whatever. They're in Germany and Frankfurt. Frankfurt is part of Chiefs Kingdom, and so I know there'll be people traveling from other countries to go to the games, but with Patrick Mahomes and being the Super Bowl champs and being in three of the last 4 Super Bowls, they've already got that. I don't want to say that people in Germany are bandwagon fans, but just when you're successful, you're more popular to people that aren't from your area, right?
Right.
So when you put the success and the star power of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, along with them having the right to broadcast and really promoting themselves there in Germany, they're Germany's team. London is the Jags, right? That's kind of like it says like the Jaguars are London's de facto team. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a home game. It's gonna be loud. I think it's gonna be pro Chiefs fans. Although sometimes, like, I don't know, when you watch these games, and I don't know if the fans really know about, like, making crowd noise when the other team is on the field, but then being quiet because, like, when you watch the London games and shit like that, it's just loud the whole time.
Just loud the whole
teams have the
time,
ball.
right.
People are cheering, and so I don't know if it will be quite as much of a home field. I shouldn't say I don't think. I know it won't be as much of an advantage as if they were playing at Arrowhead on Sunday. But, I start breaking down this game a little bit. What do we think?
what's the spread at?
Chiefs were what, 2.5-point favorites?
Interesting.
I want to say they've been hovering around a 2 or 3 point favorite this week. How are we feeling about this game, Nick?
I mean, a little concerned after the Broncos game.
Right.
It's just which Chiefs offense are we going to get, and then which defensive back or backs are they going to use to cover or bracket Tyreek Hill, and how successful are they going to be? Right. I mean, if I have one nightmare about this game, it's that the Cheetah goes for like 300 yards against us, and we lose and that's like a real possibility, right? Like, we have a great defensive secondary right now. Tyreek Hill, he's just been a monster this year. He's on pace for over 2,000 yards receiving, so you just got to respect the Cheetah. But I mean, look, the Chiefs typically shape up for these games against these types of opponents. Like, if the Broncos game, the Chiefs had a hard time getting themselves juiced up for, this is the exact opposite, right? They are going to be juiced up for this game. They're going to be on an international stage. They are up against a quality AFC opponent. They're up against a former teammate, right? That I mean, Tyreek Hill has said some controversial stuff about the Chiefs. You know, he hasn't said anything negative about the players, but about the organization and stuff. And so I think that this is the game that the Chiefs, you know, get up for, right? This is the game that they're, you know, ready to fire on all cylinders. So, I don't think it's going to be a huge win. I don't think we're going to win by 28 points like the Bills did against the Dolphins, but I'm picking the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the game. Concerned, I don't know if that's the right term. I just don't. The Chiefs, they don't want to get in a track meet shootout with the Dolphins. The Dolphins' defense is not good, but you know the Broncos' defense, and I know the whole division opponent thing, but like the Broncos' defense has been historically bad, and the Chiefs scored what, less than 30 in 2 games combined against them. The Dolphins put 70 points on that Broncos defense. I don't know what. Yeah, Travis, I love it, man. Appreciate you swinging by every week. Brings a bit of levity and humor to the show, which is much appreciated. So thank you.
Brings a smile to all of our faces.
Right, it does. So am I worried about it? No. Am I feeling super confident about the Chiefs in this game? Not as confident as I am most weeks. No. Bo, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm more on the just like perplexed side. Like I'm still baffled at what I saw this past week. I did not think that that's what we had as an offense. I thought they were going to come out firing on all cylinders. I feel like that game was just like, if anything could go wrong, it did in that game. And I've been wrong about a lot of things this year, but I'm not going to try to say that like the Chiefs aren't going to repeat that. But I really feel like they're not going to repeat that. And if they get in a shootout with Miami, I'd be okay, dude. As long as we're shooting, right? As long as they're not putting up 70 on us and we only get 20, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be okay if it's a 40-50 game and we come out on top. But like, just shooting. Like, let's get our offense catching the ball. Let's get some rhythm. Let's get that juju behind us of like our receiving core is not up to par. Let's see these guys work. With that being said, though, like, God, their offense is so good. The only plus side I can see is their running back, who's been an absolute boss this year. Mostert didn't practice today. He's fighting an injury. So, I mean, I never wish ill upon anyone, but if that, happens to extend through the weekend, I wouldn't be terribly upset if he couldn't play in that game, just to kind of help limit that. And same with Jalen Waddle. I guess he's still fighting an injury as well. So, but dude, if we can just get our shit together, catch the damn ball, I'm not worried about what our defense is going to do. I feel like we have the coaches and the players now to like put a game plan in place to limit Tyreek Hill's game-changing ability. Like, he's always going to be a factor. He's always going to like catch the ball and score yards, but like whether or not you can limit his ability to just run a 70 TD on you, like if you can limit that, I think it'll be a very successful game for us. But man, that's saying a lot right now. I feel like we have the offense to do it. Like, we just need guys to step up to the plate and do their job. How are you feeling, Scott? Like, did you already talk? Yeah, you talked.
Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, I'm not. No, you're good. I'm not concerned or worried about the game, but I'm also not as confident as I usually am going into the game each week. You don't want to get in a track meet in a shootout with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert when you've got Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. And Isaiah Pacheco is a fine player. Raheem Mostert, I feel, when healthy, is a better running back than Isaiah Pacheco. I know it's going to get me on a lot of Chiefs fans and Chiefs Kingdom side saying something like that, but just look at the numbers.
Believe, Scott. You got to believe. We got the guys. We got the guys. They just got to do their job.
What's the old stat say? Ball don't lie, or the old saying, "Ball don't lie." Yeah, look at the stats, man.
You got that one on your side for this one. I guess we got the guys. You got to believe. You got to believe.
What's the Chiefs' path to victory in this game, Bo?
Dude, I said it last week. I'll say it again. They need to establish a decent run game. I know you kind of mentioned it. Pacheco only getting 8 carries doesn't really mean anything on a passing offense. But when you get a guy, when he does have 15, 16 carries and he is having a game, like, defenses play differently and it opens up everybody else. And so I'd really just like them to see that like when you establish the run game, it opens up the passing game. Very obvious take, but I feel like that's what our offense needs right now. It just needs to be a little bit more open, man. We obviously don't have the guys that can go out there and burn dudes one-on-one. They're going to need a little extra time. I really miss – I've seen it a couple times this season, and I really commend the coaches when they call it. I like the designed like bootlegs and like the design movement of Patrick Mahomes. Like I don't like him just sitting in the pocket waiting for guys to open. I like it when they like force him to one side or the other and have him throw it, because the defense is just kind of like they just don't know what to do when Mahomes is on the move. Is he going to throw it? Is he going to scramble? Like, what's this guy going to do? Is he going to just put me on a highlight reel for the next 10 years? Like they just kind of shit themselves. And I think that's going to be the key to it, man. Just kind of getting the defense off kilt and like I said, just having the offense show up and do their job, and we should be okay.
Yeah. Nick,
the key to winning, I think Laney's there. I mean, we got to get a good pass rush in, right? We can't allow these fast receivers to get really that far down before he's got to get rid of the ball, right? I mean, if you can limit that, then that gives him less time to get open, right? So I think that getting to Tua is going to be huge, and then really do like turnovers, man. Turnovers are the reason that we've lost the 2 games that we've lost. 5 turnovers in one, and then I don't remember how many we had, but definitely a turnover that ended up in a pick 6 in the Lions game. So like limit the turnovers and get to the damn quarterback, and I think that we're going to win this game. I mean, I think that the Dolphins have a fine head coach. He's a little bit of an odd dude, right? But Andy Reid has so much more knowledge, right, and ability as a head coach. So I could see Andy Reid just kind of out coaching him, right, as long as the players perform and do what they're supposed to. So,
did you guys see the stat on like all-time NFL teams when they have 5 or more turnovers, like what their win-loss record is?
No, I didn't see it, but it's got to be like in like the 80 or 90% loss range. I mean,
dude, it's like 9 wins and then like 300 and something losses, right? All time when you have 5 or more turnovers. So.
Yeah. No, Laney's stealing my thunder here. It's gonna be the defense pass rush. Get to Tua early. Don't give the Cheetah and Waddle and these speedsters time to get downfield, and sack him, knock him around, knock him off his game. Get him rattled. Don't let him get in a rhythm. That's the Dolphins' offensive line at some point against the Patriots last week. They were playing with no starters from week 1 on the offensive line. I mean, so their offensive line is banged up, and the Chiefs' defensive line is feasting and is probably it's hard to say if they're the strength of the defense or over the secondary or not. I'd probably give a slight edge to the defensive line over the secondary, but it's close. Just don't let Tyreek Hill burn you, man. You just got to keep that guy in check. You got to keep him in front of you. Play your safeties deep. Do what teams did to the Chiefs to limit the big plays.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think he's going to get his. So, yeah, it's going to have to be getting to Tua often, getting to him early, don't let him get in a rhythm, and keep that offense off kilter. The Dolphins also haven't won a game against a team with a winning record this year. And
I didn't know that.
They got smashed by the Bills in Buffalo. So they, they're beatable. They're scary with the weapons and their offense and the explosiveness, but they're definitely beatable. The Chiefs are favored for a reason in this game. I said it when we did the schedule release and we were predicting our overall schedules or records for the end of the year. I don't see Patrick Mahomes going to Germany and losing. Like, that's not a game that I think Patrick Mahomes loses. So we said it a lot of times on the show. I've said it a lot. when you have the better quarterback and the better coach, you're going to win more games than you're going to lose. And Chiefs have the better quarterback and the Chiefs have the better coach. So let's get to this week's poll, talking about big plays and explosiveness and what the keys are. What do we think Tyreek Hill does to the Chiefs this week? He's a supremely talented guy, obviously. One of the best, if not the best, definitely the most dangerous wide receiver in the NFL. Want to see what Chiefs Kingdom thought about Tyreek Hill and what he does this year.
Where'd you get 125 yards? 125 and a half?
I don't know. I just thought like 125 is – I mean, normally a 100-yard game is a good game for a good receiver, but a guy like Tyreek Hill, 100 yards is – I mean, he does that almost every week, right? So
he does that in a quarter.
Right. So 125 kind of is where I was putting that. You have to put the half a yard on there so that people can't do – oh, I'm going to guess even. He's going to go exactly 125. But I just feel like I feel like 125 plus is a big day for Tyreek. And 125 or less is just an average or below average day for Tyreek. So that's kind of where we came up with that number. Like to see what everybody thinks in the chat. If you aren't following us on social media, go over and check us out. You can see the handle there at Chiefs Kingdom Live. We're also on the Instagram and Facebook. Bo's doing a good job on TikTok now as well. So I want to see what everybody in the chat has to, where the chat's voting in and where you guys. Let's just go.
His TikTok dances are elite.
Right. Let's go bottom to top here. Bo, you go first. You taking the over or the under?
I'm going to take the over, but I don't think it's going to be as great as the game that would lead one to believe. I mean, I hate to say it, but our team kind of does give up some yardage, but we're really good at not giving up points. So, I mean, I could see him having like a great day yardage-wise, but just not getting into the end zone. So I'll take the over on this. But, again, with that little caveat that it's not going to be like a stinging, oh, my God, Tyreek just ran right over us, man. Like I said, that guy's capable of doing this in a quarter. I mean, give him enough time. He can do that in 2 or 3 plays. So, I mean, yeah, I'll take the over. What about you, Nick?
I went under. I think that Scotty's right. I think that we know how to play Tyreek Hill, right? We know what works to limit him because we've seen him get limited in games playing for us. The only reason that I'm nervous about that is, you know, if the coach is game planning to try to get the ball to him even more because it's like a revenge game for him.
Right.
Right.
Dude, we're going to get you all the looks. But that probably isn't the case. I mean, they're just trying to win the game. But yeah, I'm going under. I think that the Chiefs defense is doing really well this year. We have a really nice secondary, so I'm going under. What which of the corners would you like to see lined up with him? Would you rather see Snead or McDuffie lined up opposite of Cheetah?
All of them.
Just yes.
Can we put Snead and McDuffie and
Reed
safety on him?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm voting the over. I don't think there's any way they keep Tyreek Hill under 125 yards in this game. The guy is motivated. He's got extra motivation. He's been on fire this year. They're going to be force feeding him the ball. He's going to be the focal point of the offense. So,
especially if Waddle's hurt and he doesn't play. I mean, I kind of think Waddle will play, but like if that guy's not playing, Tyreek's going to have.
Yeah, and there's that weird thing to it too, where it's the old question of, I don't know if you want to say like the chicken or the egg, but is it better to like not have the other guy out there because you can get more targets and you can get more action, or is it better to have the other guy out there drawing some attention away from you so
a distraction
isn't just focused on Tyreek Hill, right? So I don't know if Waddle being out helps or hurts Tyreek. I really don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for the Chiefs.
Over under on PIs to limit Tyreek's stats. Over under on what? What's the number there?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
3 or something?
4? I'd take the over. I'd say 4. I could see 4 PIs on that guy. 4. Well, the way the refs are calling PI these days, yeah, I could see us getting 4 and And,
you just got to limit the damage. And let him get his 150 yards, but keep him out of the end zone 3 or 4 times.
Right.
One touchdown. 150, 160 yards and 1 touchdown. Okay. I think you can live with that. But if he gets up there and gets 160, 180, 200 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, Chiefs are going to be in a lot of trouble. So, let's get to some predictions, I guess. Unless there's any other angles or views or aspects of this game you guys want to talk about. I think we kind of covered it pretty well.
No, I mean, there's nothing waiting in the wings. You just got to watch.
Score prediction. I'm going to go Chiefs 27-24.
We got a close one, huh?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout either, but I think it might be a shootout. I know Scott doesn't want to see it, but I'm kind of hopeful for it. Again, just for the reasons. I would like to see our offense start clicking again, even if like our defense kind of takes a step back, so to say. I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, the defense is now terrible. Like, you're playing the fastest dude in the world. So I think it's going to be a close one too, but a little bit higher scoring. I'm going to go 37-30 Chiefs.
Yeah. Dude, Travis just sniped my guess. I was gonna say 31-28. I swear to God, that's been in my head.
Oh, we got a Laney sighting.
What up?
Got a Laney sighting. Laney's coming down here to make her pick. So,
hi guys.
All right. Hello.
I'm going 31-28. Me and Travis are on the same page here.
These nuts.
Along the old chain there, 31-28. Field goal. Field goal is going to be the difference in this game, huh, guys? All right.
We got Tom going 28-24.
Yeah, good to see you, Tom.
I'm going
Laney?
24-21.
Okay.
24-21.
24-21. Defensive battle.
Yeah, everybody's got this game a little bit closer than they did last game. Last game,
Yeah,
everybody was
think
2 touchdowns or more.
I do feel the Chiefs have a slight advantage in that their defense is better than the Dolphins' defense. And the Dolphins' offense is a little bit better than the Chiefs' offense. But with Patrick Mahomes, he's the equalizer. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to go. I think Chiefs win the game. Looks like Laney's heading out already. So,
Hi and bye. And that was this week's appearance by Laney.
Brenda picking 31-28. Chiefs. Big Doug's going 38-28.
38-28.
There we go.
I could see the Chiefs lighting up the Dolphins defense. They can be had. You know, if you had to. I mean, I think the Chiefs defense has a better chance of slowing down and stopping the Dolphins offense than the Dolphins defense does slowing down and stopping the Chiefs, if that makes sense. Our man,
I'm with you, Tom. If we can get Tua counting math on his fingers again, that would be all right with me.
Yeah,
that's Common Core math counting, right? When you start counting like that.
Yeah,
I didn't do Common Core. I don't know. That's what I was told.
Brock Purdy math.
I don't think they have Common Core in Florida.
You guys think it's weird that like nobody's like upset that basically Brock Purdy kind of had the same exact thing happen to him that happened to Tua last year? It was like not that big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't as visually shocking watching.
Yeah, the Tua hands thing was
right. Yeah,
that's hard to take.
It was ugly.
A lot of people didn't like that.
A lot of people didn't like that.
No,
I'm glad he's playing better. I mean, that was graphic, dude.
Yeah, best team in the NFL lost 3 games in a row now. So, our man Tom here. I think I heard them reading. I think Tom got a shout out or got a comment read on was it Arrowhead Addict post game show the other night after the Broncos game. I think they said our man Tom Hood and they read his comment on there, and I was like, I bet that's our man. I bet that's our guy. Tom.
I know that name.
Yeah,
that was so familiar.
I recognize that name. Our man out there in the Caribbean, I believe, is correct. So,
What did you say, Scott?
Barbados, I think.
yeah. Man, I would like to have been in Barbados the last couple of days. Bo comes to Kansas City this summer and brings the freaking heat with him. And then he comes into Kansas City this fall and brings the freaking cold winter with him somehow. I don't know how. But
there was ice on the sidewalk this morning. I was just like, where did I just move to? This is all right. Well, I guess
get
it is
ready
November
for
now.
it because that's just a taste.
Yeah, the ice
taste
wasn't
of
on
what's to come.
my nostril yet, so I guess I'm thankful.
Yeah, no. Zach Thomas, hell of a player.
Yeah, dude. He was a
NFL Hall of Famer, right? Zach Thomas. I think he got inducted in this last year. Maybe it was last year, but
How'd
fantasy
you guys do on your
football?
picks this year? Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do fantasy, how'd you do on your
go ahead,
CKL Pick'em League? I know Brenda crushed it. She like
Brenda
almost got every game.
Yeah, Brenda had a good week.
Up here.
I feel like I do
believe
well, and then like some team just totally crushes my hopes on that. It's just
I know
like,
that-
wait,
I
what's going on?
believe Big Doug's in the lead by one or
Yeah.
two, and then Nick and I are a couple behind him, and then there's a couple other guys that are maybe a pick or two behind us, but
Oh man,
So
I'm
Big Doug is
8
in,
games
first place.
behind Doug now.
Yeah. Big Doug's in first place with 80. I'm in second place with 79. And Scott's in third place with 78, followed by Greg, Johnson, Tim Ragsdale, Casey Johnson, Brandon Bohannon, 72. Laney's
terrible.
at 70. And Brenda, you're down there at 62. But I mean, you keep putting together weeks like that, you're going to take us all out.
well, I don't think
let's know your
Brenda made a
secret.
pick for the first. I don't think Brenda made any picks for the first 2 weeks. She said it wasn't working or something. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, we'll
If
have
you guys
to
want to get in our Pick'em League, just let us know. Send an email to chiefskingdomlive@gmail. Is that our
Something
email?
like that. Or you can go on social media.
Just because it's
at
week 8
Chiefs
doesn't
Kingdom
mean you
Live, like
can't
I was
join
mentioned
us.
earlier, on the Instagram, the Facebook, the X app, formerly known as Twitter. We'll get you a link in there. Maybe we'll do some prizes too. Some people want to join later and they don't have a chance to catch up for like the overall season, but maybe we'll do something for like the best record or the best week too. We'll figure something out to make it interesting for some new folks that maybe are joining us for the first time here halfway through the season and want to get in on the Pick'em League. So
Yeah, sure.
we can,
If first place isn't one of the three of us, we got some. We'll get you guys something cool.
right. Yeah, we got stuff to give away. So talk a little fantasy football here. I went 0-2 this week, and if Sky Moore would have caught that touchdown, I would have won both weeks. So that might have fed into a little bit of my fuel raged rant that I went on earlier against Sky Moore and the Chiefs receiving core. Dude, I lost one league by 2 points and another league by 2.5 points this week. It's fucking unbelievable. Like, dude,
Brutal.
And in the one league, my only weakness was tight end, and I go out and I pick Taysom Hill up, and he fucking crushes it. I filled my only hole with a solid player, the number one tight end of the week, and I still lose somehow because
Dude, that's a tricky spot too. Tight end like that. There's only like 5 guys scoring in that position, dude. I dropped David and Njoku like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he decides to have himself a game, right? Just like, oh, that's how fantasy works.
Right.
Fantasy
So
dance.
you make all the right moves and you got a solid roster, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I filled up my only hole, and Taysom Hill goes off. I think I'm doing good, and then Patrick Mahomes gets me 5 points in that league, and I lose by 2 points. It's just it. No matter how good you think you are at fantasy football, it's still based on luck.
It's just all luck of the draw. I mean, it helps to have really good players, man. But like, dude, I had Jamar Chase and AJ Brown for the first 3 weeks, and I lost every game because those two guys would get like 3 points combined. Now they're like studs, and like I could get anybody I wanted.
No, Tom, I didn't have Sky Moore in fantasy. I had Patrick Mahomes on both my teams, so I lost out on the 7 or 8 points on the touchdown pass.
Doing something wrong if Sky Moore is on your team, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. It definitely was not because Sky Moore was on the team. It was because the guy throwing the ball to Sky Moore was on my teams.
That's a deep league if you're picking up Sky Moore and playing him, right? Like, got like 14 guys in that league and 16-man rosters.
Yeah.
No, I'm on a 3-game winning streak. I'm loving life. Somebody got frustrated with Joe Burrow, so I picked him up, traded him out for Trevor Lawrence. Still have Trevor Lawrence, but like he decided to have himself a game, so I'm liking where my team's looking. I might,
the Joe Burrow turning around
in.
was just a matter of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
I mean,
and then
I'm still in playoffs in both leagues. But
somebody drops Deebo Samuel in my league because like he gets hurt. They didn't really read the injury report. They're not Niners fans. They're just like, oh, he's out. No, I can't have him anymore. They just dropped him. I'm just like, he's out for 2 weeks. Whoop on my bench, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. No.
looking forward to him coming back next week.
Right. Yeah, that's a big mistake.
Team.
That's a big mistake for sure. So, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Anybody in the chat got a question before we get out of here for the evening?
Raiders. We could talk about the Raiders. Laugh at them real quick.
Yeah, they're right on schedule for their Raider cycle.
Yeah, fired their coach. The guy that they picked over the guy that they picked over the guy that took over as interim coach and took him to the playoffs that year. Like,
they're still paying him. That guy's doing the league. He's going to get even more money. He's still winning that case. Like Gruden's going to. NFL's going to get really interesting the next couple of years with this lawsuit.
He's going to win that lawsuit.
Yeah, he has all the paperwork.
One of the funniest things I saw on social media this week was someone tweeted out a picture of Mark Davis, the Raiders owner. It says, Mark Davis, since taking over the team, has fired 3 coaches and 2 general managers, but inexplicably his barber is still employed or something like that. It's so funny.
I read that he travels to get his hair cut.
Yeah. He's got one of the worst dudes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Cut to that scene in Dumb and Dumber with that bowl on his head and just.
Right. But no, it kind of goes up though.
Dude, fires. Yeah, he's like fires his coaches and all his GMs, but Barber ain't getting rid of that guy. He's safe. We're keeping him. The Raiders are they're in turmoil and they're a joke. They're right there. I mean, they're 1 or 2 games under 500 right now, though. I mean, if they would have figured out a way to pull out that game against the Lions, which was a close game there for a little bit. Jimmy G looks like he's finally done.
He got benched, right? That's a part of this whole firing and everything is that Jimmy G's benched.
Devontae Adams bitching and pissing and moaning about the losing, and he's pissed off. Well, first of all, you took the bag over wins, man, when you decided to bail on Aaron Rodgers and go to the Raiders, first of all. Second of all, that dude had a huge drop on 3rd down in that game against the Lions. I've only watched 2 Raiders games all year, and in both games he had a huge, costly drop in the game. It's not like that guy's really got a lot of room to be talking about the play of other people.
What do you guys think this does to the Raiders going forward? Do they now become that team that just is like the season spoilers? Like, our season's done, so they'll just, we'll try to win out on the season. We play them second to the second game to last, and then just going to spoil our seeding position or something like that. Is that what they're going to be doing this year?
Right. Tom clowning on Mark Davis and his $5 haircut. Dude, the guy, he must go to the barber school where they're teaching the people how to cut hair to save a few bucks or something. That's why his dome's always looking.
That's how he gives back to his community, right? I give back to the community.
But the Raiders are in spoiler mode already at this point. Week 8 of the season. I mean, they're never really a contender to begin with. They won a couple games back to back there against bad teams, and we got to right there to 500. But they're not a serious contender for the postseason. So they're in mid-season form. Spoiling it for teams that actually might have a chance.
Yeah, they just need to get a player arrested, right, to hit their cycle.
Right. Yeah, get someone arrested to complete the cycle. So.
Yeah. No. Look, the Devontae Adams thing. I'm glad that he's unhappy there and it's not working out because really the Chiefs were about to nail down a contract with Tyreek Hill until he got his deal, and that's what kind of blew that up, which ended up, forcing us to trade him or us trading him. Or
you could also
however
say
you
the
look at it.
Chiefs. You could also say the Chiefs kind of fell asleep at the wheel on getting an extension done quickly to allow that to happen. Similar to the Chris Jones situation, but
half of me wonders how much that's on the Chiefs, though. Right? We've had that conversation, like with bad advice agents. Like that's what I'm kind of like alluding to.
Right. Well, there's some good agents that will tell their guy, "Don't take a deal right now. Don't sign an extension."
Devontae Adams is about to sign.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have got something done in the offseason before last season with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got. Isn't he a Rosenhaus client?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so he's got best agent in the game, really.
He's
so
got good representation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe if they would have offered him something in the offseason before the season started, maybe they. I mean, I'm sure they know that Devontae was going to get a new deal, but so I don't know.
But looking forward to those games, right? Like, just like, oh, thank God, this is going to be great. This is going to be so much fun watching this team in disarray.
Tom's on a heater right now. He's on one here with the jokes, man. He's crushing it right now. Yeah.
The only Super Bowl Mark Davis will ever see is the one that cut his hair.
Oh man, that's funny. That is.
I appreciate the humor tonight in the
Yeah.
chat. It's kind of a bummer of a game to talk about from
that
last
was
week.
a tough loss. That was a tough loss, and at least while I was watching the game, I was cleaning out a freezer that went bad and stopped working, and had a bunch of rotten meat and shit thawed in it. So
productive.
At least I got to be doing that.
Two things seem like they were on the same tier of.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At least I had two things that made me want to puke going on at the same time. So that was fun. But no, Chiefs take on the Miami Dolphins, Frankfurt, Germany, 8:30 a.m. kickoff. It's a weird, like getting up and watching football at 8:30 in the morning. I don't know quite sure how I feel about that. But
dude, I did a stint in Hawaii, right? So I lived in Hawaii for like 5 months, and football starts out there at 6:30 in the morning. It's actually like a little blessing that you just didn't even know existed, right? Because you have this full day, and like for me, you start at 6:30 in the morning, so it's a full day of day drinking. I'm like morning drink. It's morning drinking, not even day drinking, because the last game ends at 3:30, right? And so it's like you still have a whole day ahead of you when the games are done. It's nice having games that early.
Yeah.
So you guys, too early for us to get together to watch the game?
No,
I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing that early on Sunday. So,
Are we confident enough to live stream the game yet? Like Tyreek Hill goes for 275.
You just made my palms sweat, Nick. I was good all show. And you're like, you want to live stream a game?
Maybe this ain't the game. So, but no. Looking forward to watching the game. 8:30 in the morning. You're drinking your coffee and eating your bacon and eggs while you're watching the Chiefs take on the Dolphins. Is that a primetime game? Do you consider that a primetime game? I don't know. Like,
yeah, nobody else is on, right? Like, isn't that
prime time for
criteria?
Prime time for Germany.
Yeah, it's definitely a primetime game. Looking for all the German fans are going to be out there, and a lot of Chiefs Kingdom. I know I saw in the news here recently and on social media, people talk about traveling out to go to the game. I thought about it, and then I looked at the cost, and I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have any like anxiety about flying. I'm not scared to fly. I enjoy flying. I don't know about being stuck on an airplane for 8 or 9 hours, man. I don't know.
What's the longest?
It's not bad.
What's the longest plane flight you've ever done?
Well, it was just more like a day of traveling, but the longest flight's only like 6 or 7 hours. It was to Scotland. Whatever that is. It's not too terrible, man. Like with technology, it's 2 movies, 2 podcasts. You're there.
Yeah.
Leave in the morning, get there in the morning. It's fascinating.
No, I did. I flew from Tampa to the Frankfurt airport. It was 8 hours. Weird is like, you're going to Europe. They were like selling boxes, like cartons of cigarettes on the plane. They're like wheeling them around like, hey, like, oh, we must be landing in Europe. Yeah, 8 hours that's okay.
That must be where our guy Nick was getting his cigarettes from Shank Club.
He's flying international for the cheap cigarettes.
Hey, shout out to Shant Club real quick. We got to get those guys back going, man. That was a fun podcast.
I'm working on old Nick, so we'll get one before the end.
Your
of the
boys
season.
here at CKL support the Shant Club. Let's get it going, Nick. Come on, I'm gonna clip this, put it on the internet.
One episode, man. I
peer
told him,
pressure you guys to get it going back again.
I told him, I said, we don't have to do it every week. We just one, man. Come on, let's just get an hour and a half some Sunday. Let's do this shit, man, or Saturday or whatever.
Do a 3-hour 1-day special. You guys pick all the games for the rest of the season.
Right. I'll wear him down. We're gonna get a Shank Club episode going. So need to catch up with those guys over there in England and
miss
Europe.
watching those guys across the pond there.
Right.
They were good, dude. Carl and Nick and everybody, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to those Europeaners following football, man. Like right. I follow EPL a little bit, but not as much as those guys follow football. I mean, they're into stats and the practice squads. They know their shit. Right,
they do. I've been in contact with Nick at Shank Club here recently. Been messaging with him, so I'm gonna wear it on him. I'm gonna get him to set up a show here soon. So.
We'll set up a Shank Club spectacular. We'll bring everybody and we'll get John V. We'll have it on this channel. We'll just have like 9 people.
We'll get John V. We'll get Dion. We'll get Carl. We'll get our man Ivan from the Dog Pound UK over there. We'll get everybody. We'll get the band back together for sure for a Shank Club episode. I'm working on it. I'm going to get
the band back together, boys.
Do some Lone Wolves, baby. Do some picks.
The Lone Wolf. I missed that, dude. Week 1 last year, Scott and I are in Arizona. They're doing Shant Club, and they're in London. So it's like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Right. I was up to like 3 or 4 in the morning the night before. We had done a live show at a bar down there, and I went out with some friends and just had a good time, a really good time. And then 6 o'clock in the morning comes, I get woken up to this guy. Woo!
Yeah.
I just like, Shaq Club. I got to watch it. I wasn't mad.
Yep. Hell yeah. We need to get that going. But appreciate everybody for watching, everybody who joined in this week. Thank you so much to Brenda and Big Doug and Laney and Chris,
everyone,
and Travis,
everyone in the chat. You guys rock.
And everybody else. If I'm missing you, I apologize. But Chiefs taking on the Dolphins, a big AFC matchup with tiebreaker and playoff implications. No doubt here at the end of the season, the Chiefs are getting into the meat of the schedule, playing the Dolphins here, and then the Bills and the Bengals, some other AFC foes, heavyweights coming up down the line here as we get into November and December football. Looking forward to it. If you haven't clicked like, if you haven't clicked subscribe, please do that for us. We'd appreciate it. We're getting lots of views. We're getting 100 views or whatever on a show, but only 10 or 12 or 13 likes. So clicking that like button is important. Clicking that subscribe button is also as important. So we can give away this free shit we got that we're sitting on that
real quick. We're like 30 followers away from giving away jerseys, Super Bowl towels, confetti, steak rubs, Kansas City gear, tons of swag. So go tell somebody to give us a follow. We're so super close to giving away some stuff.
Just tell them, say, hey, just give me your phone. You got YouTube on your phone, you got an account, give me your phone. Just go click subscribe for them. And don't even tell them you're doing it, maybe. That way they don't post and they don't get on the entry, and that just helps your odds.
They see our ugly mugs pop up and they hit unsubscribe the next time they go onto YouTube. But it counts for a little bit.
Maybe. You never know.
How did I get this on my phone?
Yeah. Thanks again. We sure appreciate everybody joining us. Chiefs play the Dolphins on Sunday in Frankfurt, Germany, the international series, the Germany games, the Frankfurt games.
Let's
go Chiefs and let's fillet those Dolphins, baby. Let's go.
Let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.
opening up a can of whoop ass feels like.